my friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And I'm excited to bring to you a new segment that I have been working on for the channel. I actually have a few segments that I've been working on, but this is the first one I'm going to bring out today. And this segment is going to be called 10 Films You Should Watch. And each time I do this, there's going to be a different category. So for instance, today is 10 underrated films you should watch. And I know there aren't just 10, so of course I'm going to repeat it. It could be 10 more films, underrated films you should watch. You get the gist. Also, we're going to do different genres, different subgenres, different categories. We can do horror, we can do action, we can do foreign language films, we can do underrated horror, horror comedy, horror slashers, you know, whatever you want. You guys get the gist of what I'm saying. So if you have a list that you want to see, leave it down in the comments. Also, what are your underrated films that you think people should watch? Leave them in the comments and maybe they will appear on the next time we do the underrated film list. So I'm just going to get right into it because I don't want to babble too long, but before I do that, I just want to let you guys know, if you're new here and you enjoy this kind of content, lists, collection videos, Blu-ray hauls, unboxings, whatever. We do everything movies here. I'm going to do a room tour. I'm working on my room. But I'm going to do an updated room tour. Consider subscribing. Hit the bell notification so you know when I upload. We're trying to get to 6,000 subscribers and on to 10. I'm skipping 7, 8, and 9. We're just going from 6 to 10. So help me out and we'll get there together because we have a great community here and I just want to keep the conversation going. But the first one on my underrated list is a movie from Martin Scorsese, and it is Condon. And when people talk about Martin Scorsese, they think of Raging Bull, they think of Taxi Driver, they think of Goodfellas, mob movies. But Condon, this is not one that I hear anyone talking about. And this particular Blu-ray is put out by Kino Lorber. It's still available. For the longest time, I couldn't find it on Blu-ray anywhere. I think there was an out-of-the-country copy, but it was like $50 or $60. It was insanely priced. So I was very happy when Kino Lorber picked this one up, and it's a beautiful release. This is the story of the current and 14th Dalai Lama, because in the Buddhist tradition, they believe when the current Dalai Lama passes on, he is reincarnated into another person. So when the 13th Dalai Lama passed, the leaders in Tibet set out to find the new Dalai Lama, who is the current Dalai Lama. This shows you how they do that. They show you where they found him, how they found him, how they believed, what made them believe that he was the person they were looking for. And it takes you through his life as a child and a young man and a teenager, his teachings, what he learned, who he was, how he dealt with countries like China as just a young man, and how he ended up in the position that he is in today, because to this day, at I believe he's 85 or 86 years old, he's still living in exile from Tibet. He is the spiritual leader of Tibet, living in exile in India. So if you're at all interested, even if you're not interested in Buddhism, just see it. It's such a beautiful, amazing movie, beautiful cinematography. The storytelling is second to none, and it is just criminally underrated. So give Condon a chance because you won't regret it. This next one is one of 2 movies in the stack that actually brought me to tears, and that's a tough thing to do in a movie. Other things will bring me to tears, but usually not movies, but this one did it. This stars Bill Murray and Melissa McCarthy. I do believe what people say when they say they're not crazy about Melissa McCarthy, because she does play the same role all the time, it seems. Not in this movie. This is her strong point. She's more dramatic, and she was fantastic in this movie, as is Bill Murray. St. Vincent. And Melissa McCarthy plays a single mom. She is the mother of 12-year-old Oliver, and she's a nurse, so she works long hours. She's often not coming home till later at night when it's already dark out, and Bill Murray plays her cranky elderly neighbor who is he's just miserable about everything, it seems, and he's always after money. He's always giving her a hard time. He's not very friendly. And she reluctantly has to ask him to help her with her son after school. So of course he says he'll do it for some money, and he becomes the boy's after school sitter, if you will, or guardian, whatever you want to call it. And he quickly finds out that this kid, he's like a tall, little lanky kid, this skinny little kid, he's getting picked on, he's getting bullied, they steal his backpack. So he starts sticking up for him, teaching him some street skills, teaching him how to, you know, kind of defend himself, stick up for himself, and they're starting to form a friendship, and the little boy is kind of starting to depend on him, and it kind of goes in a lot of different directions, and I don't want to give anything away because, you know, we don't do spoilers here, but just watch this. If you haven't seen it, it is so, so good, and everybody all around, they give great performances, and by the end, I was in tears. So just give it a look. It's so, so good. It runs the gamut of emotions. You're going to feel everything. And this is a film that I think the only other person who really goes for this film on a regular basis is my friend Joe Martinez from the MartinezJoe74 Channel. I'll link him in the description. But it is the directorial debut of Denzel Washington, and it is a movie called Antoine Fisher. This is another one, the other one that made me cry. Like I said, it's Denzel Washington's directorial debut, and it is based on true events. We have a young man here who is in the Navy, and he is constantly coming undone. He is getting into fights, he's getting into trouble, he's got problems with anger management, and he is on the brink of losing his career. So he is sent to talk to Denzel Washington, who is a psychiatrist. And he reluctantly goes because, you know, they never want to go in the beginning, and then they kind of go and just go with the program, and they start to kind of dig into why he's acting the way he's acting. And I don't want to give anything away about his story or what brought him to be the type of man he is, who just has this like trigger temper that just comes undone all the time. But it is just amazing. This is such a good movie, and it just, like I said, it broke me. It just brought me to tears, and you will not regret giving Antoine Fisher a look. It's a really good one and so criminally underrated. Now this is another one. This is one that I have talked about before on the channel. It's made its way to many lists that I've done, but I have had some requests from people who are newer to the channel asking me to bring back maybe older recommendations that I've made, so I'm trying to kind of work them into some of these lists as well, in case you missed those videos. This is one that I have been singing the praises of for a long time, and I think if you appreciate articulate writing, really great storytelling, family dysfunction, and Meryl Streep and Julia Roberts together, you are going to love this movie. Yes, it can be dark. Yes, it can be challenging. Yeah, it's a highly dysfunctional family, and it is August, Osage County. And listen to this lineup: Meryl Streep, Julia Roberts, Ewan McGregor, Chris Cooper, Abigail Breslin, and Benedict Cumberbatch. And this is just an amazing story. It is written by Tracy Letts. It was originally a play, so this is the adaptation of the play written by Tracy Letts, who is just an amazing screenwriter. And it was a Pulitzer Prize winning play. And if you don't know Tracy Letts by name, he was the gentleman who played the father in Greta Gerwig's movie Lady Bird. So he was Saoirse Ronan's father in the movie. So that's who Tracy Letts is. But he's also a very well-known screenwriter. So he wrote this, and this is the adaptation. We have a family. Meryl Streep gives the performance of a lifetime as a woman who is suffering with cancer, addiction, alcoholism, pill addiction. She's out of control. She is as mean as a snake. And her husband goes missing, and her family comes back. Her daughters come back. Julia Roberts is one of her daughters. And they come back to try and kind of get things together and figure out what the heck is going on. Where's the father? And somebody needs to deal with good old Meryl. And it is just full of twists and turns. The conversations, the fighting, the addiction, the craziness. It is an amazing movie. And I don't know, if people don't like this movie, I don't know what you're watching, because I think this is fantastic. It is so well written. It shows family dysfunction at its best. Meryl Streep and Julia Roberts give amazing performances. I mean, just out of this world. And Meryl Streep, she has some zingers. She is so mean. You just want to reach through the screen and wring her neck. But her daughters do a really good job of handling her. Julia Roberts shines in this. She hasn't lost a step. She is so solid in this movie. So if you haven't seen August, Osage County, definitely put it on your list. Pick it up. Check it out. And this next one is from Taika Waititi, who people right away, Jojo Rabbit, What We Do in the Shadows, things like that. But I go to Hunt for the Wilder People with Sam Neill and Julian Dennison. And Julian Dennison plays a young man. Oh, his name is Ricky. He's Ricky, and he's a foster kid. He's jumping around from foster family to foster family. He's kind of with a family that he likes right now. something happens and he is at risk of being sent to another foster home. And him and his, what does he call him, Uncle Heck? Him and Uncle Heck take off into the woods, and there is now a manhunt on for them. And these two don't really like each other, so they kind of have to figure out how to work together because they are in this mess together and they are just trying to survive and get through. It is so good. There are so many funny moments, so many heartfelt moments. It is such a great movie, and it's an earlier film from him. And if you haven't seen it, definitely give this one a look. You will not be disappointed. And another film that he did that was even earlier than this one is called Boy, and that would be another underrated pick that I would put in his category because that is a fantastic film, and it's about a young boy who idolizes his father who's in prison, and then the father gets out of prison and he sees who his father really is. But both of the Boy and this one, excellent early films from Taka Waititi. I always have a hard time with his name, but yeah, check out both of them. They're really good. And I know a lot of people in the film community sing the praises of A24, which I am a fan of a lot of A24 films, but this is one that I never hear anyone talking about. It stars Annette Bening, Elle Fanning, and Greta Gerwig in 20th Century Women. This is such a good movie. It's an absolutely fantastic movie, highly criminally underrated. It takes place in 1979 in Santa Barbara, and Annette Bening plays a single mom who's trying to raise her son, and she's trying to raise him to be a good person and a good man, and she's living in a house where she has Greta Gerwig and Elle Fanning and all these people, and there's one guy living in the house too, and Billy Crudup plays the guy. And she has them living in her house. And it's kind of, it goes with the times of the late 70s. It's kind of how people lived, you know? Like you had these makeshift, you make your own family type of thing. So what she decides is that she alone cannot raise her son the way she wants him to be raised, and that he needs to be kind of have the influence of other people in his life who see him in a way that she can't see him. So she approaches each one of the people that are living in her house and in her life and says, I need you to help me with him because you see him in a way that I don't. You see him in real life because he doesn't have his guard up with you. He's just himself. And so she enlists the help of these people to help, as a group, raise this boy to be a good young man. And it is a very heartfelt, sweet, really good, really funny, really deep movie about family and how family isn't always the people that you're born into, and it can just be who the people are that you bring into your life. And it's a really great film. And Greta Gerwig, I'm a huge fangirl, you know that. If you've been here, you know that. She was outstanding in this. I don't always like her in acting. I love her as a director, but in Frances Ha, loved her acting. Also loved her very much in this one, and I thought Annette Bening just hit it out of the park on this one. She's fantastic. So 20th Century Women, highly recommend it. Now for some sports. This is a football movie that I really don't hear people talk about. I hear people talk about Remember the Titans, The Blind Side, Rudy, all those ones, but I never hear people talk about this one, The Express, the Ernie Davis story. And Ernie Davis is such an important person in football history. He was the first Black American football player to win the Heisman Trophy. This is his story. This is his career. This is his story. And there isn't a lot I can say about it. If you don't know anything about him, don't Google him. Don't look him up. Go into this blind. It is the best way to watch it. There's not much I can say about it without ruining his story. But it's just something that you have to experience. Whether you're a fan of football or not, you will appreciate this story, and you will just have you will hold him in such high regard because he is an amazing athlete and an amazing person. So yeah, definitely watch The Express, and this is a really well done movie. The Express, the Ernie Davis story. You will come out with a whole new perspective. And sticking with the sports theme, we're going to go with a Paul Giamatti film, and he's not usually in sports movies, but we have Paul Giamatti, Amy Ryan, who you probably recognize from The Office. We have Jeffrey Tambor, who's always great. The young man in the movie is played by Alex Schaefer, and it is called WinWin. And Paul Giamatti here plays I guess he's a lawyer, and part-time high school wrestling coach, and the team is just terrible. And then some of this runaway, he's a runaway, and he shows up and he kind of starts to practice with the team, and they realize that he is a phenomenal wrestler and like he can take this team to new heights. And Paul Giamatti kind of takes him under his wing, and it is the story of their friendship, and it's kind of a coming of age story for the young man who's a runaway. And we learn about him, we learn about his background, we learn about how he ended up where he is, and it is just a really great movie. And I remember seeing this in it was kind of it's an independent theater that's by my house, and I think there were maybe 20 people in it, and the whole place was roaring by the end of it, clapping, yelling. People loved it. And the next week I went to see it again. It was a packed house. This is such a great movie. So WinWin, great movie. Whether you're into wrestling or not, give it a look. And then I have a Tom Cruise movie, because people think of Tom Cruise. Where do we go immediately? Mission Impossible. I think American Made. Also based on true events. And I know more people talk about this one than some of the other ones I mentioned, but this is a fantastic movie. And they said that this is one of the based on outrageous true exploits of a hustler and pilot recruited to run one of the biggest covert options in U.S. history. It is based on an incredible true story of the CIA's biggest secret. So Tom Cruise plays a guy who is a pilot. He's approached by the CIA to fly over different parts of the Middle East and take pictures, and all he's supposed to do is take pictures and report back. He ends up getting involved in some illegal activities that he shouldn't be involved in, as would be the case, as you don't have to be know the story to figure out something's going to go wrong, or it wouldn't be a movie. But he gets involved in some illegal activities, which puts him in a really weird spot between the people he's involved with and the U.S. government, who he's supposed to be working for. But this was really fantastic. I saw this in theaters. It really surprised me. Very, very good. I love the way the story was told, and I just love these kind of stories. And Tom Cruise isn't always my favorite. I think he's a fantastic actor and a fantastic stuntman, but I don't always buy him in the roles that he's in. He was terrific in this movie. So I give this one the highest praise, and if you haven't seen American Made, definitely give it a look. It's a great one. And if you have seen it, see it again. And this last one is an Oliver Stone movie, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about this one either. And I think I mentioned this on my friend John, the Planet X2. I mentioned it on an interview that I did with him over on his channel, which I will link down below. It's called The Five. And this is an Oliver Stone film, and it stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and it is called Snowden, and it is the story of Edward Snowden, who worked for the American, I believe it was the American Intelligence, National Security Agency. And he was the first person to recognize, or one of the first people, at least he brought it to light, that the American government was spying on private citizens. They watch us through our iCam, through our phone, through our, whatever device you're using. Think of the Echo Dot that's in your living room. Think of the OnStar that's in your car. Any type of electronic monitoring device, they are watching us, and they're not supposed to be. And he uncovered this, and when he broke the story, he had to go live in exile. But this is the story of how he figured out what was going on, and how he was so far ahead of his time, because we are monitored on a regular basis. Think how many times you've walked through different stores and you look at your Facebook feed and there are ads for what you just looked at on a counter in Target in your Facebook feed. They're watching you. And he was the first one to bring this to light, and they considered him a traitor, but he was right, and he was way ahead of his time, and to this day he's still living in exile because of what happens in this movie. So if you haven't seen Snowden and you don't know the story of Edward Snowden, definitely check this one out, because like I said, he was way ahead of his time, and had he broke this today, I think he'd still be living in this country and working for the rights of private citizens to their privacy, because we really have none. We're watched all the time. So definitely check this one out. So that is my first list for movies you should watch. These are my underrated picks for this time. next time we'll have different ones. But I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank you for watching. Like I said before, if you enjoy this, give me a thumbs up, leave me some comments, recommendations, suggestions. Let me know what you want to see in the future. Let me know what your underrated picks are. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you'll know when I upload again. And I'm going to see you again real soon. Actually, I'm doing a live stream on my friend Cinema Dave's channel Sunday. We're going to be talking Halloween, horror, fall movies, things like that. I'll put a notification up on the community tab probably Sunday morning, so look for that. And I'll be back early in the week with some new content for you. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, and that's a wrap.